around the available power that you have to ensure that you can actually put down your traction. So, like I said, Northwest and Automotive Art sells semi-slick tires. They're actually not that expensive. I think a set of 4 West Export RS run you about $1,100, which would be along the lines of any low profile tire. Slow motion private said slow tires are pretty noisy and have large grooves. Yes, but we're talking about compound. Slow tires are meant to grip on icy surfaces and are meant to
slow tires of the block. Yes, that makes no sense. Don't go on slow tires of that shouldn't be in that conversation.
Alright, so like the helmet said, do not risk slow tires.
Yeah.
But yes, we're talking about compound. Snow tires, the reason why snow tires are not appropriate for racing locally is because generally speaking they have a very soft compound. But you say, oh, but racing tires have a soft compound. Snow tires are meant to operate at much lower temperatures than competition tires. As a result of that, they will not last very long. The other thing too is that the compound is not necessarily meant to adhere to what we call our type road surfaces. These are meant to adhere to very slippery, slimy, sludge type road surfaces. So technically, you might actually go down in performance if you decide to go with snow tires as an alternative to properly dedicated racing semi-slicks, which, like I said, are sold locally. Now,
Don said my focus was suspension and handling for my X-Ride.
Evo 4. Now I have to adapt to front wheel. I have to adapt to front wheel.
Yeah, but now you use the code right.
Also, sick mode is done.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Don, question. In terms of handling, what did you prefer? Now I understand the Evo made more power, but in terms of handling, let's talk about handling specifically, because I mean it's very difficult to wrap your head around it when you come from a car that needs more power. So obviously you get generally better performance out of the vehicle.
Yeah, man.
But let's talk about basic handling. Which vehicle did you prefer, the front wheel drive or the four wheel drive?
But me say big up man. Yeah, me say big up. And me say I would have even a big up Liam Revat.
Big up Revat.
Oh boy, Revat Nation. Me say big up my boys from Jamaica. What? That are Jamaican boys.
We have Jay in the house.
Yeah, man.
Big up to Jay.
Revat Nation, man.
Big up to Jay.
They're gonna serious up in the place.
One
man, me say
alright, so Don said he prefers the all-wheel drive to the automatic.
No.
Yeah. I guess because Don win all his autocross competition. No, I should have done this tonight, yeah? Alright. So yes, so if you're trying to put down traction in a two-wheel drive vehicle, then especially once you've exceeded a certain amount of horsepower, then you have to purchase the basic speeder. What they categorize it as is mass performance summer tires, which is normally high performance all-season tires, extreme performance summer tires, which are extremely high performance dry road tires, which would be basically semi-slick or full-stick tires. If you all guys realize, a lot of the people that run drags with the front wheel drive or the rear drive vehicles run full slicks, which are not legal for the road because they don't have a tread pattern. If you have a car, what is the tread pattern for? It is to disperse water. Okay? When you have a catapult in your foot, and you have that rubber catapult wearing, and you're wearing that thing over and over and over and over again, and you form a bond with your catapult, you don't do your catapult goes so many times when it's raining and stuff like that, you refuse to throw the catapult away. But guess what? The bottom of the catapult gets smooth. You know what happens when you step on a tile that has water on it?
Let me tell you, boy.
Olympic figure skating. And it's the same thing with tires. The reason why I did the example of catapult is because for the fellas, most people own them rubber slippers, them cheap rubber slippers, or them thumb slippers, and for the girls that want to play like, oh yes, I don't wear catapult. Yeah, you own catapult already. Don't try that.
Don't lie.
If you never own a catapult, you don't know the picture of the board. So you don't know what a catapult is.
Look it. You look at catapult, you know.
So this is what we call the catapult.
Yeah, man. Check it. The thumb skipper for the
for the intellectuals.
The thumb skipper.
Right. The thumb skipper. Right. Parents cover your children heads. We talk about thumb skipper now. Yes. So.
Wait, before we continue, let's see what the comments say. Don says the comment about the sometimes of the response to your statement about radio noise. Oh, that's in them.
Oh, noise.
Yeah. Don said I didn't want to restrict cold on ITA and I had to find metal jump in the cover.
Yeah, don't, I suspect it's one of them super fellas that say you can take every corner flat out.
Flat out, yeah. You can't take it out and now that happens.
But yes,
Alright,
so,
Lyndon said 1100 for 4 tires is not bad.
no, and those are semi-stick tires.
Yeah.
But we have
That's the
not,
mistakes.
we have not spoken about the downfall of the semi-stick tires. The problem with semi-stick tires is that because they have a racing compound, they tend to wear down quicker than you would find with like your average road tires. Road tires are normally harder.
Yeah, man.
Because there has to be a trade-off. You get the performance, but then you know that the tires wear down a little faster and so on. So,
I mean, how often you go on the track for a race car? Is it for your
yeah, but I mean, no, but what I'm saying is that if someone wants to daily drive them, I have known guys that have had the semi-stick tires on their car for over a year.
Wow.
Which I find, or what you consider as a race compound tire that will give you the performance of a, you know, that will up the level of performance on your vehicle. I think that it might be a fair trade-off that, you know, but I don't know anybody who wants to put aside an annual budget or like every year and a half spend $1,000+, but if you can afford it, then I guess it might be the way to go to get performance out of your vehicle.
Man, a man tell you that you are not upgraded, they call them full Navy seekers.
What's that? You are
not upgraded, they call them full Navy seekers.
Why?
Yeah, man.
Okay, well then, my sincerest apology to the
That's
crowd.
I don't know about you, but I used to go and buy that, and I never used to see full Navy on it before when I was young.
Well, I had a cold gravy.
Cold gravy.
So my sincerest apology to the cold gravy.
Don't send it driving, and I guess you put it on cold, it was rescue.
Yeah. So, right, now I realize we have a couple of the ladies that joined in and so on.
Audio drivers.
Yeah, big up to Mariah, big up to Mariah. When purchasing a vehicle, ladies, something that you might want to consider, four-wheel drive is superior in terms of grip. So if you live on a place that has a steep driveway, especially when it's raining and so on, you find that under bad road conditions, a four-wheel drive car is the safest generally to drive. The second safest would be a front-wheel drive vehicle, because the handling on characteristics on these vehicles tend to be more predictable than a rear-wheel drive vehicle. With that said, one thing that we have not touched on is pertaining to components. Front-wheel drive cars, over a prolonged period of ownership, always tend to be the simplest cars to maintain because they have less components. So we have to factor that in as drivers, especially if you're someone who either one, does your own maintenance, or two, is willing to maintain your vehicle for a certain interval and so on, and is very, you know, stringent about how you maintain your vehicle. You'll find that with a front-wheel drive vehicle, the maintenance tends to be a lot easier. With a four-wheel drive vehicle, in anything, because I mean, as someone like myself who's a technician and also works as a mechanic, the more components you have, the more components there are to fit. Okay? So, with that said, a four-wheel drive vehicle will take the primary to having the most components. And therefore, in long-term ownership, unless the vehicle is of a very high quality, which means that it will likely be very expensive, the run-of-the-mill four-wheel drive vehicle is most likely to cost you the most pertaining to long-term ownership and so on. So if you want a vehicle that is a good trade-off of pertaining to safe to drive under bad road conditions and cheap to maintain over the years, then you may want to opt for a front-wheel drive. Now, let's talk about all the gadgets and gizmos that you guys have. Lloyd, stop whining in the background, you're freaking out.
Don't say that was after 1 year of racing coming from one got to front-wheel drive, the year of tires, they keep together.
Okay, don't
yeah, the Lyndon said the normal tire lasts about 6 months for him.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Lyndon, where you live? Man. How the hell a normal tire lasts 6 months for you, boy? What the hell?
How much tires got?
There's somebody giving you a shot up there. Woody and everything. He said, man, have you visited the Mazda GTX on the mall? The one will be hiding for your ass.
Not now when I telling that man to go and look for a Mazda GTX.
Yeah, so...
You see the black thing I was telling you about it.
Yeah, 911 I guess you know me, but I not seen your picture, so sorry if I don't think. Yeah, I checked out already. The guy does. He's in two minds to sell the parts to me, so I'm letting him think about it.
They say go buy Diamond. I want every all of you just go buy
yeah,
Diamond.
I checked his vehicle out and so on. Yes, he does have certain parts that I want, but I can't hold the guy at gunpoint to get the parts and so on. I mean, at least not legally speaking, you know. You know, so yeah.
Other young children are listening to this guy when he says that.
Let's go in there. Let's take it out.
I have not mentioned in any way, shape, or form that I am going to hold the said person at gunpoint for covers. This is not the Fast and Furious Part 1, where I'm making people drink oil for SR20. Okay? Alright.
We're going to take that from now.
Forget Fast and Furious Part 1, you're making people drink oil for SR20.
Yeah. But we're going to TV.
Yeah, okay. It has no engine right now. Yeah, but I checked out the car. At 911. I checked out the car. Yeah, it has no engine. The car is rusted bad, but the bonnet is in a good condition. I asked him about that. Like I said, he does not want to sell the parts to me yet. On a side note, our next event we're hoping for August the 1st at the Darren Sammy National Stadium, and I'm hoping that my car will be up for that because I had a little issue as to routing my exhaust, but I kind of figured that out and so on, so I'm hoping that my car will be up. It will not be in tip-top form, but I think I've been away from the autocross for too long, so I just want to at least just support and support. Come and run my car. Yeah. So anyone have any questions about the drivetrains? Because I'm getting a lot of comments from some of the more, it looks like more the experienced guys. Yeah. But anyone who's just chiming in and so on at once, has any questions putting to their car and so on, I mean, well, leave it the topic on drivetrain because next week we have a whole other, you know, topic to talk about. But
can you mention which?
Yeah, boy, done. Yeah, big up to Silent 616. Uncle Rax, what are you saying, boy? Uncle Yan, what's going on, boy? Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I like the 1st of August.
Yeah, but I try to put the car on the road for. I try to put the car on the road for August the 1st. I try to touch it down, but I might have to tow the car off the road or something because it's not licensed or insured, and police hot like bread fresh out of the oven on the road. So boy, I don't want to get any charges or anything like that. You know. I'll try to see if I can get a provisional pass for the day. Maybe talk to one of the traffic officers or something so I can get a provisional pass. But yeah, I really want to just come and support and so on. So hopefully I'll be behind the steering wheel again in my car that's supposed to be for autocross for changes. Tell me really the wheel.
Yeah, don't have to the chocolate.
No, I think on the day of the event we're going to just do the track layout. We might do something
surprise
track layout. Because the thing is that yeah, what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying on the event August 1st. I just want everybody like who's watching right now, see how they're participating. If you're not participating, but just come and show some support and just to watch the event on the 1st of August. We have a special ride coming and do something for you like that.
Yeah, well, I look to put on some fire on the road there.
Yeah, like literal fire, you ever see?
Yeah, because
like a ghost rider fire.
Yeah, like ghost rider fire.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the car will be loud. Now mind you, I always tell people I rather a quiet fast car than a loud slow car. So hopefully my car will not be slow. It will be loud and fast. It will be loud and quick.
Let's get it straight. And
by the way, I report it from the drive crowd. Yeah? So all these fellas who are four-wheel drive that want to come and talk, and the rear-wheel drive boys that want to come and talk. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm someone. When I'm on the track, I'm a man of few words. If you're born at life, you're born at life. Somebody run your car, not your mouth.
Yeah, simple. Real.
We don't have time for all this talking. Come on, fella, boy, what your car have, and then can you want to make car come on the track?
And if
you say exactly what it have, you say exactly what I have, you say exactly what the car have.
If it's a man, you know, on the cross, we say another thing kind of man. So don't talk bad about the other fellas that do different disciplines from you. It's a drag race, man, stick to the drag race. We're going to talk about
Well,
and then kind of thing.
actually, I'll put it this way, because guys, I don't go off topic too much, but if you're a drag race man, why always stick to the same thing over and over? Let me tell you something,
There's one. Honestly, I am bashing on nobody missing. Honestly, you can stick to one thing only because that is what you like. Is a drag race man. Trust me, drag race have a science behind. Me, may not all of us will understand it. Some of us.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Drag racing have its science behind it. Fellas that love drag racing, I can't bash on them. I like drag racing. I like autocross, but I will race autocross.
Yes.
Don't bash on each other. That makes
John
sense.
Peter, yes, food and drinks will be available because the thing is that since it's a public holiday and since will not be open, we'll try and whatnot.
Surprisingly,
I like this street pipe on. So I can't tell you that.
the car was like after the car.
Spice.
No, like I said, the car is always like.
Oh, okay.
Yes, almost like the guy with the car.
Okay, because the car is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, dropping so hopefully you can get the G4.
Big up David Ross 1. Hopefully I can get it before.
Yeah, that's dropping.
Yeah, but Joaquin, big up to you guys.
Yeah, man.
I mean, no, but it's true. I mean, couple times he come around and Joe, he repping for the four-wheel drive crowd, you know. He repping the four-wheel drive crowd and stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, who's that? Ebro 102. Yeah, big up to Ebro 102.
Four-wheel or nothing, yes.
And big up Dave Lord, Mr. Dave Lord. Yeah, big up to the Lord.
Yeah.
All praise the Lord. So yeah, so going back to topic and whatnot. For four-wheel drive cars, just for four-wheel drive drivetrains are proven most effective in one particular form of motorsport, and I would say that is rally. And it just shows that at the end of the day, you cannot fight physics. Rally cars, to those who don't know, are cars that race on dirt circuits. Even for stuff like Baja and these sort of things. You find that with these cars, especially in the 1990s and even up to now, the fastest rally cars have been four-wheel drive, and that mainly started with Audi, with the Quattro.
We have
S1.
We have some troublesome their cars.
The monster days are right.
We have some troublesome cars.
No, but I mean down here we don't have rally racing, at least not yet. Not yet.
I just not yet. That's what you come in, boy.
We're working on something. We're working on something.
Joe can get a GT4 already, yeah.
But the four-wheel drive where I would say that they have really dominated was on rally. Was in rally racing and whatnot. I mean, mind you, the second most dominant drivetrain on a rally circuit would have been front-wheel drive. A lot of cars that have been front-wheel drive, like for people who don't know their rally history, there's a driver called Jean Ragnotti. He was a French driver for Renault, and he had the Clio Maxi rally car. And on the tarmac stages, which are non-dirt stages, he would actually beat those cars in time. So this car was a non-turbo, which was 2 liters, it was taking about 280 horsepower. And the rally cars were making 300 horsepower, turbocharged, and you would beat them on the tarmac stages. So that's why they call this car the tarmac monster, because it was so fast on the tarmac stages, you know.
Oh yeah, so Desmond, we found your mystery guy.
Yeah.
He said that's Khalil with the white lady.
Oh, Kala is saying that. What is it, my dog? How it goes?
The maximum.
Yeah. Kala.
So if anybody want to join in on the call, just to give a little bit of insight, you know, on your
yeah, big up Darren. What is it?
Anybody want to give a call? May say we the accepting calls.
That's Darren with the GTR.
Yeah, that is.
With the 32. Darren, okay, well.
Yeah, that's it.
But it looked like this evening we have a lot of guys repping 44 drive crowd. Right?
So Desmond, now we're talking about all-wheel we have a Tesla GTS, so big up Garen with Kellen.
Yeah.
Tesla GTS GTR, we have symmetrical all-wheel drive Subaru, big up Gary.
Yeah.
We have the AYC.
Yeah.
Big up London. Yeah, big up London.
Yeah.
And we have Aldi Squashroom.
Yeah.
And I guess what one?
Well, that one was cool with the.
Yeah, okay. One more, yeah, basically she has the Super All-wheel control.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I may have the one then. So there's like, what is the difference between all of these systems? That's how I'm going to say it, yes.
You have it. Boy, I listen, that will have to be a whole other topic.
Why?
Because I am versed in these systems, but I do not think I am sufficiently versed to teach about them. You know?
We'll have to bring them on the show. We can keep opinion.
Okay, look, don't say WYC anymore. Don't say Gassa, so that means I don't vex. Don't say Gassa, I don't have. Sorry.
Somebody say wonderful life.
Don't be that. I'm gonna say wonderful life. Big up Honda the show. So when you say wonderful life, you mean like as in like, oh, I know Honda's are good cars, but like for the front wheel drive versus the other drive trains, that we're talking about John Peter?
Yes, it's supposed to. You don't forget the S2000.
Boy, look, Kala is 9,000 RPM, but Kala is a 4AG man, so I can't see what they're talking about.
Let me see. Big up Ishi 798.
Yeah, man, big up.
Yeah, man.
Super. They know what's going on.
Yeah, man.
No, that's super duper.
Yeah, man.
Super duper going on.
Yeah, man. You do
Super duper, as a man that drive front wheel drive and four wheel drive, what do you think is the superior drivetrain? As a driver, what do you think is the superior drivetrain? I don't mean that there's a superior drivetrain, but I mean for guys driving experiences, what did you prefer? Four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive? Big up to Artistry by Chelsea AC.
Oh, man. We have the man. Tone.
Okay, alright. We have
we have 20 minutes remaining, 20 seconds remaining. We'll have to get you on the next slide.
10 seconds to speak. Alright, well.
We'll get you on the next slide because.
Okay.
Right, because at the end of the day, if you looked at our last live, I don't think we're on our last live, but we said that when it comes to motorsports, the fans are just important as the drivers, are just important as the promoters. Yeah, that's the triangle there, that's the trifecta. So at the end of the day, if you don't have a vehicle, you have to start off somewhere. Formula 1 drivers did not start off by driving in a Formula 1 car, they had to start off somewhere. Everybody has to start off somewhere. No, but even before they were in go-kart, they used to look at the races, you know. So that thing about manifold ride and things like that, anyone that wants to hate on someone is out of ride, they really don't understand how car culture and motorsports works. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the guys that don't have the rights are just as important as the first one have the rights, are just as important as the guys who are promoting the event, because we need everybody in. You understand? It's a collective effort. And sometimes the man that don't have the right might even know more than the man that have the right, which we have noticed in a lot of occasions. The person who actually is not mobile knows or is more knowledgeable than the person that is mobile. But the person that is mobile will tell you, that's what we're talking about, you have the right, what you come and tell me. Don't worry them fellas, boss. So, man, if I have the right, big up to all the dudes that don't have the right, brother. Yeah, one day you will get your right.
Like me, I don't have right.
And remember something, the people that are up now, they might always be up. So, your time to shine will come. So, yeah, so back to Tiki Westing Town.
Yeah, Dole, give us the call. Dole, call us up, my G.
Going to record, we have our second call of the evening.
Yeah, Dole, give us the call, waiting on you, my dogs. Yeah, man. She one man.
Man, we've ride.
Yeah, big up to all those who joined in back with us. This section of the live will be shorter and whatnot. But just to recap what we were talking about drivetrains.
Boy, Aama and Dual and Michigan.
Yeah. Front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and which one is the most superior drivetrain? Which one is better for ownership, like long-term ownership and so on?
Yeah.
I mentioned that four-wheel drive will have the most maintenance over a long period of time because it has the most components to fill.
Yeah.
Rear-wheel drive is for the most advanced drivers, and front-wheel drive generally between front and four drive is like a safest drivetrain. Especially for beginner drivers.
Even for men.
A question came up to me about the rear-wheel drive. You said that most advanced drivers.
Yeah.
Then we have low power rear-wheel drive that can
And Miatas.
What do you think about it?
I think that
even on this 2009.
I think that put all of these cars on a rainy day, and if I'm a beginner, I'd still rather be in a front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicle rather than one of these vehicles, because at the end of the day, the cornering these vehicles is something that you have to be more aware. You have to be more in touch with the vehicle's mannerisms. You have to feel what the vehicle is doing a lot more. Because at the end of the day, you want to, if you're bending, I always use the left turn analogy, you bend the left turn, you step on the gas, the back of the vehicle will go right, and you have to be ready to catch that. You get me? With the front wheel drive, I mean, the front will do the same thing, the front will go more to the right, but maybe not as violently as a rear wheel drive vehicle. And what I'm saying too, I'm using the point of adverse weather conditions, slippery roads, grimy roads, these sorts of things. A rear wheel drive will be more of a handful to handle.
Yeah.
Can I handle a rear wheel drive? Yes. Have I been driving a long time? Yes. Have I been racing a long time? Yes.
Have you been racing a rear wheel drive for a long time?
Not too long.
No.
Not too long. If I can say I've been racing a rear wheel drive for maybe about a year, more than 2 years now. But I mean, just general driving experience and so on, I helped me out a lot. But front wheel drive is the way to go. I would, in my opinion, so like I said, whoever wants to try.
So even for first time drivers, you recommend a front wheel drive for them.
I said, okay, well, so guys, you have a second call.
If you have the man, they say, Dole. Yeah, man, Dole.
Good day, guys. Good day. Y'all just kept talking about front wheel drive and rear wheel drive, but no one has actually mentioned setups. As good as a four-wheel drive setup is, or front wheel drive setup, or rear wheel drive drivetrain, unless the setup is actually good, basically it won't matter. You cannot take a drift car and go and try, well, not a pro drift car, you cannot take a regular drift car and go and try and do trips with it and expect to come out with a great time.
Right.
It was
someone like me was different vehicles.
Huh?
Someone like me who have driven different vehicles, I can clearly tell you that I have had 2 front wheel drive cars and both of them drive different. The Bread Van versus Super Blue. Identical vehicles. Both are different when you drive them.
Right.
Okay? And it's not a matter of, they basically have the same tires, they're basically the exact same car, but they are very different, they drive very differently. The Celica GT4 with its four-wheel drive, it gives you confidence when you have four-wheel drive, but it don't mean that it's actually faster.
Okay.
That's the best way I can put it.
So the four-wheel drive gives you more confidence, but it doesn't mean it's faster.
But then,
No.
we are looking for faster, we're looking for better handling, basically.
Yeah, but then handling is also based on confidence. Sometimes you have more confidence in a four-wheel drive car, or you have more confidence in a front-wheel drive car. But
So much as on the kids do there, Jabari said, well, it's for the discussion of drivetrain, it has a lot of back and forth difference, this power, gearing, disadvantages and driving skill, and that's a long story.
Yeah, that is true.
It's a broad topic,
Let's talk
Yeah,
about
but
the
okay.
topic too because different people, different preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you look at it this way, one of the greatest handling vehicles is the Honda S2000, and everyone knows that.
Miata too.
Miatas too, but a Honda S2000 will drive laps around a S2000 Miata, right?
Well, because of power.
Yeah, because the power will come to us.
Yeah. Give or take.
You want to take a Civic Type R car.
But okay.
You want that bashing my Miata.
No. I like Miatas. Don't mind me. I like Miatas.
And
Look at it this
I
way:
think
the Honda Prelude. Exactly. But also look at the Honda Prelude. It's very heavy, but then its cornering ability is very good.
Okay, so
For front wheel drive.
here's one. In your opinion, especially for the because we have a couple of the younger viewers there, what drivetrain would you recommend for younger crowd?
For younger
People are
crowd,
just getting into
Yeah,
motorsport.
it don't have to be younger, but
and
sometimes
these sort of
newcomer.
things.
Yeah, newcomer basically. It don't have to be younger.
I would say go with front wheel drive or four wheel drive.
And if you're going rear wheel drive, go for Miata.
No, if you're going rear wheel drive, go low power rear wheel drive. Not necessarily a Miata. No, because the thing is you can. It's a toss up. But yeah, you can go for Miata also. But then I would just say go low torque rear wheel drive.
Right.
Because then you can learn how a vehicle would react with certain things. But then,
But Miata is the answer for everything in my book, alright?
but remember,
Miata
do
is I
you
would say Miata.
guys remember
Alright.
the battle between Lance and who it was? Jason, I think.
Was that?
Remember the time Lance won Dex?
Yeah,
Or
that was Brian, Gary, and Lance. Those were the top three, and Lance beat out the two four drive cars in the Integra type.
Yeah, with a front wheel drive car.
Yeah.
But and remember, he was cornering at a much higher speed than everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right. So what those just to the viewers out there, what those just give the example of was that Subaru Impreza, very well built at that, and fairly well built Lancer Evolution lost out to an Integra Type R in an autocross competition where there was a closed circuit and you had to set the fastest lap. And I mean, all three drivers, kudos to them, they really performed. But in that particular competition, Integra Type R came out on top. So it just shows the potential of the front wheel drive. And mind you, we have had rear wheel drive cars win twice as well. So,
yeah, remember, I think was it Guy S15?
who's that?
To the S15, the one time he participated and he was really driving hard and he really got really good times. So
Yeah, guy, big up to Guy with the S15. I mean, yeah, he did really well when he came out and he performed and so on, and he really handled his car well. But it goes back to what I am saying pertaining to the driver skill. Because I do not believe that your run-of-the-mill driver would be able to handle a car with the level of power. I'm not saying that his car was so powerful, but it was powerful enough to break traction. And that your run-of-the-mill driver would not be able to handle a car like that. So that's why I keep on saying that. Front-wheel drive cars, their mistakes are more forgiving than a rear-wheel drive platform.
yeah, that is the best way to put it. That's the best way to put it. So yeah, as you say, that's the real good way to put it.
Look at Aristos, join, big up to Aristos. Agamanakul and Aristos, well, big up to you, brother.
So guys, I'll head out. I'll leave the space for someone else.
Listen for me.
Don't say the Integra was built too.
Yes, the Integra was very well built as well. It was almost like a fully built, naturally aspirated vehicle.
I love that.
So yes.
So much.
So
Yeah, but the Evo and the Impreza was built too. So
what's that?
the Evo and the Evo and the
So I
Impreza
mentioned that the
was built.
Impreza and the Evo were built as well, and that all three drivers were competent drivers.
Yeah.
But guys, I'm hoping
Right,
that
guys.
the live was informative. I mean, give us your feedback and whatnot. If something you can give us suggestions of topics to talk on. My topic for next week, I was planning on talking about women drivers.
Oh.
I know it's a touchy subject for some people, but I think that is something that we should speak on. And listen, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but we want to get the ladies involved and so on. So yeah, I think that's my suggestion for a topic for next week that will speak on the ladies and their driving skills and whatnot.
Yeah, we have ladies' night. Ladies' night next week. First day we say ladies' night. Ladies' night. We say we say all of the lady drivers that are interested who doesn't know about the live room. Please inform them that we have a lady.
Ladies' night. Are the ladies bad drivers? Are the ladies good drivers that don't care to be good drivers?
Know about their cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week. So we'll try to get, and we'll even try to get some ladies on the live as well to speak about their experience with driving. Because I know a lot of them say, boy, every time I push in a man coming behind me and I know what to do.
So we have questions for the ladies. We have questions for the ladies. Are the ladies interested in learning?
Yeah. So guys, any of you know ladies, let them know of the life and whatnot. And we'll get a good debate between the guys and the girls, the driving and so on, and the various aspects of the cars and whatnot,
So remember guys, Michel Montoux,
I know it's good.
Michel Montoux.
Who's Michel Montoux? Who's Michel Montoux?
Professional rally driver of Group D at the time. She was one of the best drivers of Group D rally. She was a woman.
That one from Lushaman?
No, she was from France. She was from France. Michel Montoux.
It doesn't
Let me tell you, out of all the fellas, she was the baddest driver. She literally beat fellas on the track at night.
Wow.
I mean, Group D rally was a dangerous thing. And a woman has been that.
Yeah, but don't take it easy, brother. So we will wrap up for tonight. I hope that you guys found the live informative.
Yeah.
If not, still let us know. We can take criticism and so on.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Dear me, Illusion to the message the Aama Facebook group. Mention on Illusion group.
Faces 758. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining.
The lady, bro.
And yeah, we hope to get the ladies on. So next week Thursday is ladies' night. Ladies, come and give your input as to whether you are good drivers, whether you love your home, whether you like managed ride, whether you know happy lights on your dashboard. We'll let you know.
Yeah, I say a lot of it is already like in the building. They say, well, put your hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Put your hand sanitizer. They say, go on the place. They say, well, everybody be safe so we can race the next day. That's how it is already.
Guys,
bless up.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Yeah.